Hey guys, Redneck Mini 14 here with the comparison of the two SOG fielders that I have. I just recently did a review of the SOG fielder Spring Assist. I have done a review of the SOG fielder several years back whenever I first bought it, and I kind of want to do kind of a follow-up review on the SOG fielder, but I also want to do a comparison of the two. So just kind of showing off the two. This is the regular SOG fielder. I bought this, gosh, maybe like 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago, and I carried this when I was in college. This was actually a knife that I got for cutting cheese and sausage because I didn't have a really good knife for that. And so I just kind of went out to Walmart, found this knife. I thought it looked cool, and I used it for that purpose, and I pretty much carried it every day in my pocket for the better part of, I don't know, 2-3 years. I used it to cut open many boxes. I've used it to gut some deer. I gutted at least 2 deer with this knife. I've cut open lots of bottles of windshield washer fluid when I worked at Walmart, and we, had to, cut open the bottles of fluid and dump it in like a big barrel for the windshield washer fluid system that we had because I worked in automotive. And yeah, I mean, I've used this knife. I carried this knife every day for at least 2 to 3 years, maybe even more than that. And obviously the spring clip, the belt clip came, loose, so it doesn't have as much spring tension in it anymore. And that was one of the big reasons why I set out to find another EDC knife. I really liked the SOG fielder, and I decided to try out this SOG fielder Spring Assist, which was really probably a big mistake. But the SOG fielder, I think it's a 3.5-inch blade. I forget what the overall length is, but it's just a good size knife. It has a liner lock right here, so it's easy to put the knife blade away. It was very stiff when I first got it, and I had to loosen it up, but it is pretty loose now, and it's very easy to deploy. And it's just, this is just an all-around good knife. There's not really a whole lot to this knife. You got your G10 grips, you got your polished stainless steel bolsters. I think that's what these are called. Anyway, it's just a good-looking knife, and when it's sharp, it's a very nice sharp knife. Good knife for gutting some deer, even though this is not ideal for that. It did the job. It cut, it even cut through the ribs on the deer twice. I gutted 2 deer with this, possibly even a 3rd deer, I think, but just at least 2 deer with this. Going on to the Spring Assist version, it's a little bit different. This part of the knife is actually aluminum, I believe. So it's not as shiny. Does that matter really? I don't know. It just looks different. The belt clip is on the other side. Not a big fan of that. Has 2 studs, thumb studs, so it is good for a lefty. Has the lock on the back, so you have a lock for when the blade is deployed to keep it locked open. And it is a good solid lockup. But you also have this little sliding lock here to keep it closed, so it won't open on its own. All those things are just, different between the two knives, and obviously the biggest difference is this is a Spring Assist knife, but it is very stiff. And sometimes, even though it's really stiff and you put a lot of force into it, the blade doesn't go all the way. Sometimes it'll stop right here, and it is not locked open there. It has to go all the way. So that's something to keep in mind. This doesn't always open all the way, even though you have to put a lot of force into that blade to open it. It doesn't always open all the way. It opens all the way probably 90% of the time. But to me, it should open all the way virtually 100% of the time, with maybe one time here or there where it doesn't open all the way. This is only about 90% of the time, which is unacceptable in my opinion. And I guess that's really all the differences between the two knives. Obviously, I love this knife. I've carried it all the time. I carried it every day for many, many years. Cut open numerous boxes with it. Cut open, like I said, jugs of windshield washer fluid. Gutted some deer. Did countless things with this. I mean, I cut apples. I cut cheese. I cut sausage, to put on crackers with this knife. Obviously, I washed the knife, many, many times. But I've used this for countless things. And honestly, this is the knife that I realized that I really needed to be carrying a knife, because, before I really didn't carry a knife all that much. And I started carrying this knife, and I realized just how many things I could use a knife for, and how many times this knife saved me, and just helped me out in general. So this was the knife that started my habit of always carrying a knife with me. So it's just a really, really good knife, and I really suggest, if you're in the market for a $20 to $30 knife, that you take a look at the SOG Fielder. The SOG Fielder Spring Assist, I don't really feel the same way about. It's an okay knife. It's a good quality knife. It's built well. But in my opinion, the features of that knife and the ease of use of that knife versus this knife, this is a much easier knife to use, and it's just a regular folding knife versus that spring assist knife. And this knife costs probably $15 more. I haven't checked the market nowadays because of inflation and everything, but at least back when I bought these two knives, I want to say this was about $20. This was like $30 to $35. And I picked this one up straight from Walmart. I bought that one online. I don't know if I got it off of Amazon or like Midway USA. I don't really remember where I bought it from, but I want to say it was about $35. And honestly, I probably would rather have bought another SOG Fielder. I didn't, and man, did I miss out, because I actually ended up carrying other knives after this. This is still a good knife, obviously. I still carry it from time to time, and it's still obviously a nice sharp knife, so it does the job that it needs to do. I just don't carry it every day like I used to. I have, like a Milwaukee Fastback. I have my utility knives that I carry. I just have other knives that I carry now. But it's still a great knife, and I would love to have another one someday to replace it and probably be my next, everyday carry knife again, because I just loved using that knife so much. And I would probably, if I could choose any of my knives to carry every day for the rest of my life, it would be the SOG Fielder. But obviously for certain reasons, I stopped carrying it, and I'll probably get another one. If they stop making them, I'll probably see if I could find a used one somewhere. But anyway, that is the comparison of the two SOG Fielders that I have, and kind of a follow-up review on the original SOG Fielder that I bought, 5 or 6 years ago. SOG makes some great knives. They make some great tools, great combat, knives and weapons, things like that. They're a great company. I just don't necessarily think that spring assist knife is that great of a knife in that class of knife. I much rather would just have the regular folding knife. That's just my opinion. So subscribe to my channel, like me on Facebook. I'm Redneck Mini 14, and until next time, be safe.